Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, and tonight, whenever the heck you're watching this, we are getting into the only 5 bourbons you can keep. Now, before we do that, please do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Helps us out a ton, and we appreciate it so much. But let's get into this video. Today, we're talking about the only 5 bourbons you can keep. Yes, you can only keep 5 bourbons. So this is another one of those desert island video topics that came up through ADHD Whiskey. He basically said, hey, I'm moving. I'm thinking about leaving my whole collection behind and starting fresh. And these are the only 5 bottles I'm going to bring with me. And then that kind of started a bunch of people making, hey, if I had to move, what would be the only 5 bottles I could keep? Because honestly, a lot of this stuff is replaceable. I mean, it'd take a lot of money to do it, but it's all replaceable. I mean, it's just whiskey. Most of it, outside of limited edition stuff, you can find on the shelves any day of the week. So, what are my 5 bottles of whiskey that I could keep if, say, I had to move? I'm moving someplace. I don't want to bring all this stuff. I mean, I'm about to move in like a month, like 15 minutes down the road, and I am not looking forward to moving any of this that short distance. So, say I had to move across the country, I don't even know if I would bring all this stuff. That's a tough decision. But if I only had to keep 5 of the bottles I currently have in my collection, what would those 5 bottles be? And most of them, kind of a little sentimental. I have one that I'm really sentimental about, but most of them are just kind of like, hey, those were nice milestones in my whiskey journey per se. But my only 5 bottles of whiskey, these are ones that I can't really replace except for one. One is completely replaceable. It's new to me. I absolutely love it, and I'm thankful for how I got it myself. So to kick it off, the bottle, this one I'm very, very sentimental about. This one has a huge meaning in my life, and that is Iron Root Harbinger. I know, wow, Steven put Iron Root Harbinger on another list, but the main true reason I put Iron Root Harbinger on this list, outside of the fact that it's a phenomenal Texas whiskey, and you all know I love Texas whiskey, it's because this was the first bottle that was ever gifted to the channel. And that meant a lot to us. It was one of the most generous things that any specific, just normal person, not a company or anything, but just a normal person who liked watching our content, donated this bottle and was like, hey, do a review on this. So that's what we did, and I fell in love with Iron Root ever since. I currently own like 4 or 5 other bottles of Iron Root now that I've tried this bottle. And so out of all the bottles of whiskey I have, this is probably the most sentimental bottle, and it means a lot to me because it just kind of showed that, people do actually like the content I make, and it meant a lot to me because, I was gonna get iffy there a little bit. And then the next few bottles, not as sentimental, but they're not replaceable. You can't get these anywhere else. They're not replaceable bottles whatsoever. So to kick it off, this one was a gift to the channel by the company. We still need to review it, so we haven't yet quite gotten there yet, but this is a new bottle for me, and I absolutely love it. It is going to be Middle West Spirits Sherry Cask Finish Bourbon. So this bourbon, it's a 6-year-old bourbon. It's low proof, which is super weird for me to love something low proof because I'm a proof whore. We all know it. But it is finished so it starts off in heavily toasted American barrels and then gets finished in sherry casks. So we all know me. I love toasted and sherry finish, and this one just meets in the middle of that and is such a fantastic whiskey. Again, this one is replaceable, but it is kind of sentimental for me because it's one of the few companies that has sent us products, and this one is by far the most amazing product of all. And I know we haven't reviewed it yet, and by no means are they paying me for this. They just sent us a whiskey and said, hey, can you review this? But I absolutely love this stuff, and honestly, if I had to leave all this behind, this would definitely be one of the 5 that I'm bringing with me. So outside of those 2, none of these are really all that sentimental, but they're all still phenomenal whiskeys. The whiskey that got me into barrel proof and made me realize I absolutely love barrel proof, Elijah Craig B520. My favorite Elijah Craig bottle. And I know, wow, I put another Elijah Craig on the list. What the heck? I know, I have a type, guys. I am just a normal person. This is me. But yeah, Elijah Craig B520. In my personal opinion, given this was the first Elijah Craig I've ever had, I didn't have any of the older renditions like the 18, 19 batches where I've heard those are phenomenal, but this B520 is fantastic, and it is by far my favorite Elijah Craig. Like, I'll put them in blinds 3 or 4 times over, and it's always B520 that wins. This is the one I drink the most, and I'm trying to lay off of it because I don't want to kill it, but I absolutely love this. And this is that bottle that showed me that barrel proof whiskey is phenomenal, and I need to drink more of it. So I would definitely be bringing B520 because, quite frankly, you can't do better with Elijah Craig than B520. At least out of all my bottles, there's not a better Elijah Craig than B520. And if there is, send me some, please. I would love that. You know, show me up, prove me wrong. I would love to be proved wrong with this one. And then, coming up next, my first allocated, schmallocated, full allocated Buffalo Trace product that I absolutely love and I'm probably never going to see again, especially for this price. And I bought it for $100, so it's definitely not MSRP, but Stag Junior. This, I don't remember what batch it is. I think it's like 13, 14, or 15. It's a 65.1% ABV, 130.2 proof one. But I absolutely love this Stag Junior. This Stag Junior is phenomenal. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I mean, so are all Stag Juniors. I mean, this is the only bottle I've ever owned of a Stag Junior, but I've tried quite a few at bars previously, and they're all really freaking good. And these are so hard to find. Like, where everything behind me is relatively replaceable. I mean, you know there's going to be another batch of ECPBs come out. You know you're likely going to be able to find some. They might be a little bit higher priced because I'm starting to see them for $100, but still, like, I'll pay $100 for an ECPB. Who are we talking? But a Stag, especially a Stag Junior, because those don't exist anymore, a Stag you're probably never going to find on the shelves. And if you do find it, you're going to find it for an absurd price. So I would definitely be bringing my Stag Junior with me because, well, it's the first allocated bottle I got, and it's by far my favorite allocated. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, like, I guess I have, like, Weller 12, but, like, Stag Junior is a shitload better than Weller 12. I said it, and I meant it. And then last, surely not least, Knob Creek Single Barrel. This is just normal Knob Creek 120 proof single barrel. But this one happens to be 14 years old, which is a really weird thing to see now. It's a little bit of the older ones. It's not quite like super ancient or anything, but this was like one of the last few Knob Creeks that I was able to find that actually had an astronomical age statement that was phenomenal. Phenomenal. This one, I absolutely love. And the nicest thing about these Knob Creek single barrels, when they were at that, like, 14, 15-year-old store picks typically, because now you'll see like 9s everywhere, just like the typical 9, maybe a 10 if you're lucky, but you'll never see like a 14 anymore. But like these were still that same like $50, $60 price. So never gonna see this one again. And if you haven't had that old aged Knob Creek juice, you're totally missing out, because there is a big difference between this stuff and like say like the Knob Creek 15 that's only 150 proof. That 20 proof makes it such a better whiskey all the way. And yeah, Knob Creek single barrel pick that is 14 years old. Of course I'm bringing that with me because Knob Creek beam juice aged at like older ages for me is phenomenal. Like, I don't really care about like the 9-year-old. I don't really care about much of the younger beam juice unless if it's just like a value, because you can't really beat Old Granddad 114. But once it gets to those higher age statements, wow, does it become phenomenal. And I mean, I bet I could say that about like almost every other product, but they're one of the few products that actually like age statements things. So it's easy to be able to tell, be like, oh, hey, I like the, 12 way better than the 9, because, if you've tried Knob Creek 9-year-old 100 proof and then the Knob Creek 12-year-old 100 proof, completely different whiskey. 3 years makes that from a product to a wow, this is a great sipper product. But yeah, I'm done with my rants on regards to that. But yeah, to just kind of go over, these are the 5 bottles that I currently have in my collection that I would bring with me if I had to get rid of the collection or, liquidate it in one way or another. If I had to move and I could only bring 5 bottles with me, these would be the 5 I brought. What would be the 5 you would bring? I know this is a crazy question and likely none of us are going to have to face it. And honestly, if I had to get rid of it, I'd probably knock it down to like 25 because it's really hard to knock it down to just 5, but that's neither here nor there. Also, please, again, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. We appreciate your support. And that's a wrap for this video though. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.